on the cloud. Okay, thank you very much.
لا في معك وقت كنت هم راح نسجل المكالمة هذه راح يبعثوها للناس الثانيين يبعثوها للجميع فأنت احكي اللي بدك إياه احكي عن الوضع شو راح يصير بكرة وأنا راح أترجم لهم.
أول شيء التجمع هذا هو البدو هون التجمع هذا هو متهجرهم.
Go ahead and introduce you. Hold on for a second.
بكرة شو راح يصير؟
بكرة راح يصير في قرار المحكمة قد يجوز تفعيل أوامر الهدم قد يجوز تجيك الجرافات بعد الساعة 10 مباشرة وتهجم التجمع وتهجم المدرسة.
Okay, so Abu Khamis telling you like updating you about tomorrow. He said tomorrow we have
hold on for just one second. Just one second. Let me introduce so that now that people are joining us, even recording, they'll be able to hear about us. So, welcome everyone. I'd like to bring you all together. We are holding a Rebuilding Alliance Stay Human conference call. This is focused on the village of Khan al Ahmar. And our goal is to keep this village standing despite imminent to stop work orders and demolition orders that are likely to come tomorrow. We're really thankful to have this group together to give you more information about the village. And as you can see from our call, we're speaking live into the village of Khan al Ahmar. We're also talking with people who are on site in their offices, and we're asking for people to join us in our teleconference across the country and sometimes across the world. So with that, let me say who I am. I'm Donna Baranski-Walker. I'm the Executive Director of Rebuilding Alliance. And Rebuilding Alliance is a small nonprofit in California that's dedicated to rebuilding war-torn communities and to really bringing the world together to keep them safe. So our goal is very much to raise awareness, to ask you to connect with your members of Congress, to encourage our members of Congress to make calls to the Israeli embassy and to the US State Department. Our goal here is really to get the US Consul General to visit Khan al Ahmar village. And we do have representatives from the US government visiting on Monday. So hopefully the village is safe and we have diplomatic engagement, which is up to us as citizens to do. So with that, let me introduce our speakers. We will have 3 speakers, and I will give a more deep introduction of each one just before they speak. Our first speaker will be Mr. Eid Abu Khamis. And our second speaker, Rabbi Yehiel Grenimann, who is from Rabbis for Human Rights. And our third speaker will be Angela Godfrey-Goldstein from the Jahalin Solidarity group. So let me tell you about Mr. Eid Abu Khamis. He is the community leader for Khan al Ahmar. He's a spokesperson for the Jahalin community of 8,000 Bedouin. He was born in Khan al Ahmar. He lives there with his wife. The Jahalin overall were displaced from Tel Arad in the Negev desert in 1951, and Mr. Abu Khamis still owns land in his family's name in Israel, where his village in his group, his family used to live. So with that, I welcome you. Thank you very much for joining us. Please tell us what's happening there in the village now.
بدي أسألك شو اللي بيصير في القرية هنا.
أول شيء مساء الخير للجميع.
Say hey everyone and good evening.
ثانيا شكرا لكل الجروب المتواجد.
Yeah, like you thank everyone who's hearing us and with us.
مهتمين في آلاف الكيلومترات بيني وبينكم مهتمين في.
Even like the thousands of kilometers between us and you considering and you take care about the situation here.
لكن 300 مليون عربي ولهم سالانين وهم أقرب منكم.
And he said like 300 million Arab around us, they don't care about the situation here.
التجمع هذا في عليه ضغوطات في عليه بالنسبة للوضع غدا في عليه محكمة قد يجوز يفعلوا الأوامر الهدم ويتم هدم التجمع كامل والمدرسة كاملة.
Tomorrow he said we have a last day with the civil administration. We think we have like we must give the civil administration a response about the permission that we must have them and we cannot have them. And we think like if they give us tomorrow like a demolition order, they can come tomorrow and demolish the school and all the community.
لكن قد يجوز من نتيجة زيارة اللي هم القناصل الاتحاد الأوروبي كانوا متواجدين أمس هون، قد يجوز يأجلوه عملية أعصاب على حرب أعصاب.
Yesterday he said that all the EU councils they came here and he think maybe because they came they can like stop or postpone the demolition here.
لكن إذا أوقفوا الهدم أجلوا له تاريخ ثاني.
But maybe they like just postpone it for like another time and they can come another time.
الناس هون موجودين على زي بني آدم موجود على فوهة البركان، بعرفش إمتى بثور هذا البركان.
Like the people here, like the people who sit in the volcano, in the top of the volcano, and they don't know when this volcano going to bomb.
فما بعرف فالإنسان كليته المجتمع هون كليته طفل ورجل وامرأة الكل عايش على أعصابه فايدة.
All the people here, men, women, children, they feel like stressed, under pressure, afraid, insecure, and like the tension, like you can see from the faces of the people.
ما بعرفوش امتى راح يهدموا الاسبوع هذا نتيجه الضغط، راح ممكن ياجلوا بجوز الاسبوع الجاي فالناس عايشه على اعصابها كلها هي تونا.
They are like in tension because they don't know when the Israeli bulldozer will come and demolish everything here.
في رساله راح اوجهها هون لكل للحكومه الامريكيه والشعب الامريكي وكل الامريكيين من سناتور من اعلى واحد
I have here a message and I will send it to all the American ministers, senators, women, to everyone who like this message will reach to him.
هاي الرساله موجوده من التجمع السكاني.
This message from all the community here.
لانه في السنه اللي فاتت انا بعرف الامريكان هم اوقفوا الهدم على سوسيا ومناطق شرقيه الخليج.
I said last year the American ministers they success to stop the demolition in Susia area and to ban it with the like in the pressure of the United States policy.
ضغط على الحكومه الامريكيه لوقف الهدم للمدرسه وتجمع.
We ask the ministers and senators in the United States to make pressure how they can on the American state to stop the demolition here.
ثانيا
Second,
احترام القانون الدولي.
to respect the international law.
ثالثا
Third,
دعوة للكونغرس الأمريكي لأعضاء من الكونغرس الأمريكي لزيارة التجمع ويطلعوا على الأوضاع بعينهم مجردة بدون صحافي بدون شيء.
We ask the senators, the members of the Congress to come here to our community to see what's happening here in their eyes and to feel what the community here is feeling.
النقطة الرابعة.
The fourth point.
نحن بنشوف إن الخطوة هاي حتى يعني هدم التجمع هو والمدرسة هو سيؤدي إلى قطع لأن الكوريدور هذه المنطقة اللي احنا ساكنين فيها هي الكوريدور بين شمال الضفة وجنوب الضفة.
Okay, here we see that this area where we live in area C, like it's the heart of the West Bank, and if the Israelis succeed to evacuate us, they will cut the west and the south and the east West Bank, and they will succeed to divide this area.
فالنتيجة مش نتيجة اقتلاع تجمع سكاني أو مدرسة.
And that means it's not just like to evacuate the Bedouin here. It's more than that.
هي اللي هي قتل حلم الدولة الفلسطينية.
It's to kill the dream, Palestinian dream, in one like in their state.
النقطة الأخيرة.
The last point.
هي دعم الناس من الناحية القانونية.
To support people in the law, like in the courts, in the legal advocacy. And thank you. Like I can, like I tell you what he asked. Like he asked 5 points. First, to make a pressure in the Congress, like in United States Congress, and he asked the Congress, the ministers and senators to come here to see what's happening here, and he asked them to come and to see what the people feeling and the tension here. He asked the United States to make pressure how they can to Israel and to ask us to respect the international law and the human rights law. Also, he said like the main issue, it's not just the Bedouin here. They want to kill the Palestinian state, and the Bedouin who's living here are in the mid between the south and the east of the West Bank. So if they evacuate them, it will be very hard to make the Palestinian state. Also, he said like he asked the world and the American also to support them in the legal war in the Israeli court. It's like you have like it's the main 5 points.
And actually, thank you very much. Really good to have your message, Mr. Hussam, can you just introduce yourself also as the translator?
Okay, I am Hussam. I am here like I am actually the field researcher of Beit Salem, but I am here not as Beit Salem. I am here as Abu Khamis' friend.
Thank you very much for translating. Very, very much appreciated. We'll have questions in a few minutes. Let's have the other speakers talk also, and then we'll open for questions. So let me take this moment to introduce Rabbi Yehiel Grenimann. He's originally from Melbourne, Australia, and the eldest child of 2 Polish Holocaust survivors. After completing his degree at Monash University, he migrated to Israel, where he served in the IDF medical corps and lived on a kibbutz for 2 years and then settled in Jerusalem. Rabbi Yehiel was the director of activities in the occupied Palestinian territories for Rabbis for Human Rights up until like from 2006 to 2015. And he is currently the Director of Organizational Development for RHR and continuing to work on the Jahalin Bedouin project and focus on the educational activities for the rabbinic membership, staff, and volunteers. He's also the author of a novel, Far Away From Where, which is published by Mazo Publishers, Jerusalem in 2011. Thank you, Rabbi Yehiel. Go ahead. We welcome you. You have the floor. Go ahead, Rabbi Yehiel.
Distorted.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
I wrote like we've played a role of being advocates for the Jahalin Bedouin for more than 20 years, involved in various communities. And one of those communities has been Khan al Ahmar. When the school was built, we gave assistance, we got volunteers out who helped build. We donated a fence that was needed for permit to open the school. And for me personally, helping Abu Khamis and his community has been a very important life experience, especially in the context of my terrible disappointment in the direction that Israel as a country has taken, and Judaism within Israel also. To get to the point, I understand from the lawyer that we shouldn't be extremely nervous about tomorrow. What's likely to happen is a hearing of the guts and a postponement because the government, the army has not proposed a concrete alternative solution for this community. Nevertheless, I understand Eid Abu Khamis' nervousness because there is a window of negative opportunity for the military to carry out the demolition, and we need to be there to support the community. I'll be there tomorrow. I promised Abu Khamis I would come. I think that apart from legal means to try and postpone and push for more time, it's crucial there be international pressure. And I think that whatever can be done in the States and it's being done in Italy, I know, and hopefully other places, and Angela will inform us more, from the Romans from the EU, to make this an issue on the international arena is going to hopefully save the community and the school. And a lot of the community comes first, of course. Abu Khamis said, what's the use of a school if there are people who are going to use it? The only other thing I could add is I do what religious people do. For me,
sometimes your voice is getting a little unclear, so you might have to speak closer or slower, perhaps.
Yeah, I just said the last thing is that apart from being a support humanity in the situation, because these people have basic human rights that need to be protected.
So just to recap, what we're hearing is that tomorrow there will be, we were expecting that demolition orders will be delivered, but the lawyer, Attorney Shlomo Lecher, feels that he'll be able to get his petition to the High Court in time to block any bulldozers, and that you'll be on site because the village is certainly asking everyone to be there just to make sure that things go as we hope, which is legal process, due process prevails. Is that the legal story of what tomorrow will be like?
That's correct, but there's no solution for the village without international pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, the government, ministers in the government were quite bloody-minded about this. And they want to block any possibility of a Palestinian state. The nearby settlement, Grenimann, has quite strong connections within the government, and they are angry that the community is still there, that the school is still standing, and they're pressuring hard for these demolitions to be carried out. And there needs to be strong counterpressure, that's obvious.
I thought it might be worthwhile to just take a quick moment to show some pictures of the school. So I can share screen. This should work. Bear with me. That will see how it. And this button. And if you would, Rabbi Yehiel, how you've worked with the school in the past, that would be much appreciated. It'll take me a second.
Along with some nuns from the Comboni sisters, we ran a summer camp there first summer.
You ran a summer camp there?
Yeah, the idea was we weren't going into the summer camp business. Subsequently, we have, but it was about protection because if there were no activities, maybe they would come and bulldoze.
Right. Much
subsequently, in other places, we've done summer camps, the nuns and rabbis again. And the school is a wonderful expression of the right of these people to education, to development, to progress, and something the Israeli government should be investing in my opinion, and the Palestinian Authority, and not fighting politics on the backs of these people, but devoting resources to develop their lives there.
How many children go to the school?
Well, Angela and Abu Khamis can correct me, but I think it's around 170. Started with about 30 and it grew. At first, parents were nervous about sending their kids because of the fear of demolition. And the school has been going for a number of years now, despite the continual threat from the authorities. It's actually an act of bravery on the part of this community to keep the school going.
And also it's famous because it's built from tires. We'll probably hear a little bit more about this from Angela also. So thank you very much. I'm glad to have that commentary. Now I'll figure out how to get back off the shared screen so that we can, oh, there we go. So I'd like to, in a second, introduce Angela. Angela Godfrey-Goldstein. Man, I'm having trouble with one small thing. Hold on for 1 minute. My screen doesn't want to unshare.
Great photos.
But hopefully it'll work in a second. Angela, we'll figure this out in just a second, but let me go ahead and introduce you. And Angela Godfrey-Goldstein is an Israeli peace and human rights activist who for 9 years was with the Action Advocacy Officer with the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions. Angela has been an Israeli for 36 years and is originally from England, as you may hear by her accent. Founder and director of Jahalin Solidarity, Angela worked with the Bedouin in the Sinai, Egypt, as an environmental activist for some years and has been involved in fighting the occupation in the occupied Palestinian territories, including with Bedouin refugees facing forcible displacement for over 20 years. So thank you very much. We're very happy to welcome you, Angela.
Okay. Can you hear me, everybody okay? Are you okay?
Yeah. Can hear you, I can't see you.
Once you start talking.
Yeah, you're clear.
So let me just say, my interest or my commitment to this and other Bedouin communities comes from two main threads, I would say. On the one hand, having lived with Bedouin for many years, having been in a relationship with somebody Bedouin for over 20 years, and loving desert and really appreciating Bedouin culture, that is one mainstay of the activism. The other is that once I began to understand the policies of house demolitions and how people are being forcibly displaced, which are war crimes, in order to facilitate settlement expansion, and therefore there is a whole lot of stuff going on that, in my view, creates conditions in which terror thrives, then you have a different view of Israel and Palestine. And therefore, as a peace activist, it was a very painful, long road to be able to look in the mirror and see that we Israelis, are very much part of the problem, maybe even the major problem here, because we are not allowing Palestinians, whether they're in East Jerusalem or Bedouin refugees in Area C or all of the others, even Bedouin living in the Nakab, who are citizens but don't have civil rights. We're not allowing the other to be able to live a normal life. And this for me was really quite a shock, because until then, I really thought that we were the good guys in a bad neighborhood, the only democracy in the Middle East, the most moral army in the world, and all of that. And therefore, this issue of the Bedouin forcible displacement, these war crimes that are ongoing, the coercive environment in which they are being forced to live so that they will go quietly, is really shocking. And therefore, it's a very useful way of understanding from that microcosm, the macrocosm, from seeing how people are forced to live with no water, no electricity, homes with demolition orders, no education accessible, so on and so on and so on, right next to enormous luxury, huge swimming pools, people living, in a very apartheid state, which reminds me of the years I lived in South Africa. So I have been involved with this community for about 15, 16 years. And at the time that they built the school in 2009, I was collecting money for a school bus. So that money went into building the school, and one never expected it to remain standing this long. It's coming into its 8th year, and it has, as Eid says always, it's like a patient on life support, and only due to international pressure of diplomats, politicians, journalists, activists, has it not been demolished. They have tried, they want to. It's all part of the creation of Greater Jerusalem, and we probably don't have time here and now to go into all of that, but it's very strategic. As Eid said, once the Bedouin are off that land and E1 is developed and the Malay Adumim settlement block will be allowed to extend from Jerusalem all the way down to Jericho, that's the end of the two-state solution. So President Arafat actually referred to the Bedouin as gatekeepers of Jerusalem, and I would say they're guardians of the two-state solution. So this is a really important issue. The settlers, many of whom are high up in the government or in the army, and some of whom, even one minister, is a neighbor of Eid's, they definitely want these people out, and they have said so. And they are threatening, even yesterday when all those heads of mission of the EU states were there, 2 police arrived with their automatic guns and weapons, and they are putting enormous pressure on the people. So we're hoping that Advocate Lecker will be able to buy more time. But it is very nerve-wracking because we've always known that one day the time will run out, unless there is peace, unless there is enough pressure from inside Israel, and there's no pressure inside Israel, and from outside, which is our main hope now, the situation here is just going to get worse.
So I'd like to ask you, Angela, about who the international community is in the diplomatic corps. But I also, just a background question, who owns this land? Like, what are the rules around it that they're working so that they're petitioning to hold on to?
Yeah, I think that's for Eid probably to answer on the ownership of the land.
By all means. I'm wondering if they're still on, actually.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
can
are
see
on.
them. Yeah,
Okay.
they're there.
Oh, great.
بالسبب ملكية الأرض هنا.
ملكية الأرض الفلسطينية لقرية هون، وإحنا كنا نزرعها قمح وشعير ما قبل 67 والدي والتجمع هون.
Okay. He said the land here belonged to Palestinian village called Anata, which is too close. He said when they evacuated them from the Negev in Arad, they came here and they lived here before in the 50s, 70s, 60s. In the 50s and 60s, they lived here. So when they come to this land, the owner of the land, the Palestinian who's living here close in Anata, they give them to stay here and they work with them. And until now, they have like a relation between them, and they like give them, for example, the permission of the land, the tabo, like the legal paper to build the school. So the Palestinian who's living here, like give them to stay here without any problem. But the problem, and when they divided under Oslo agreements, they divided the West Bank into A, B, C, and this area belongs now to Area C, which is under the Israeli administration. So in this area, it belongs to Palestinian, but it's under the Israeli administration. But the owner of this land belongs to Anata village, and Anata village, they give them to do what they want here without any problem.
I see. And does Anata village, they also own the land under Malaya al-Dumim, like the settlement area?
What? Again?
Do they also own the land under the settlements?
The land on the settlements, Malaya Dumim, it's like another village called Al-Azariya, Abu Dis. Like there is like villages, and each village have like a land, you know,
Yeah.
the extension of the villages. So here where we live, it's Anata extension.
I see. Thank you.
Okay.
One more thing was about Angela and the internationals. Can you just give us a rundown of what you're seeing, and also Eid as well, Abu Khamis, you might want to speak to who's coming to who is visiting. I know you've mentioned it a little bit. It looks like your audio is off, Angela. Okay. Well,
So last week, there were members of the European Parliament, the DPAL, which is the delegation to Palestine. They are very sympathetic towards the Palestinians. And in fact, I was there in December presenting on this issue to them. So this was when they were over here on delegation, they came to visit with the UN, the humanitarian coordinator, Robert Piper, and the head of UNRWA operations, Scott Anderson. There was also the EU heads of mission yesterday, together with the Canadian rep and also people from the Norwegian rep office. There have been Palestinians, but not that many, although tomorrow the Palestinian Prime Minister will be there. I think that Eid was saying the popular committees were there, but the governor of Jerusalem and the governor of Jericho were supposed to come, and then they didn't. Apart from this, I have to say that generally speaking, the international community has always taken this very seriously. The issue of Bedouin displacement is now on the agenda of the International Criminal Court. It has been mentioned more than once at the Security Council by the Undersecretary General, Stephen O'Brien, and various special rapporteurs, obviously, the humanitarian coordinator. So this is something people are taking very, very seriously, because these are war crimes, they're grave breaches of the Geneva Convention. And as I said earlier, this is very much showing you really very clearly how settlement blocks are expanding, or even the settlements generally, at the expense of human suffering. So it's not just that the settlements are a problem for peace, it's that they are very strategic. And therefore, since 2005, when the E1 plan was first announced, closing off the eastern access to Jerusalem, with the north and the south already closed off, the international community took this very seriously on our messaging that this is the end of the two-state solution. Yeah.
And the U.S. was certainly part of those discussions, or had
absolutely
against it.
Yes, absolutely.
It has been U.S. policy to oppose this, and certainly we're pressing to make that.
And one of the problems, of course, is that so many people know about this. It's not, a secret, and yet there isn't a change of policy. So there are many, many statements being made. Dimash is flying on this specific issue, but the settlers see that as a green light. They say so. It's only words. And we're very, very worried now with the new administration, the breaks that used to be there, where there could be quiet diplomacy, are considered to be off. There's no feeling that President Trump is doing anything except say whatever's good for you, one state, two state, and really not understanding the issue. There were questions last week in the British Parliament on this issue to the Foreign Secretary, and he got completely mixed up. He started talking about Khan al Ahmar as if it was Iran, and it's a different issue than settlements when it's a village inside Israel, which it wasn't. So yet another member of Parliament asked the same question, and he still managed to avoid it. I can send you that briefing if you like. Yeah.
So thank you very much. Are there questions you want to ask of each other? You see each other often enough, though. So, but if you want to take a clarifying moment here, you're more than welcome. And then I'd like to open questions for our audience. I have muted most people's speakers, so before you ask a question, if you can either raise your hand or send me a signal, or unmute your speaker, that would work. Further comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just would like to ask Eid something. What I understood from Leka is that the most dangerous time will be at the end of the day and not in the morning. Is that true? When is it good to be there? That's my question.
وبسألك إن شو اليوم اللي هو بحكي لك إن حسب فهم الليكر إن الخطر راح يكون في نهاية اليوم مش في نفس اليوم. أنت شو بتعتقد بالنسبة لهذا الحكي؟
أنا بعتقد إنه راح يخلوا يطلعوا القرار في آخر لحظة، لأنه بعد بكرة يكون يوم الجمعة بيوم كم قصير. إذا بده يروح للمحكمة ما في معاه وقت التعديل هو يروح يدفع في المحكمة رسوم المحكمة في البريد. تيجي الجرافات عندك الجمعة والسبت بكون عندك ما في محاكم بيهدموا هاي، بعدين بحملوا البدوي أنت ما راح تستأنفت.
Okay, he said that he think that tomorrow will give Licker, the lawyer, the demolition order at evening. So there is no court, there is no post office, so he cannot go and file an appeal in the court. And on Thursday, they will come and demolish, or they will give him like the demolition orders, and they will come to demolition at the same time. And then after the demolition, they will pledge them to go to in Wema, Jericho area, and they will not give them to stay here more.
I think, can I just...
Go ahead.
From something that Shlomo Lecker said last week, in theory, and this is why I mention it, because it's only theory, but in theory, according to Jordanian law, demolition orders can only be activated when there's a 7-day warning, which means in theory, if they're going according to the book, they can't demolish tomorrow. But that doesn't mean to say that that's going to be what happens, because there have been many times when they've demolished even with injunctions outstanding or where they've confiscated things with absolutely no order.
And
Okay.
that's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Abu Khamis will give you an example.
قبل 3 أشهر هدموا في بير المسكوب وكان في قرار من المحكمة بعدم الهدم.
Before 3 months, there is like in another community which is 3-4 minutes from here, in the car called Bir al-Maskoub. The court gave them orders to stop the demolition.
وهم أجوا هدموا.
And even that they came and demolished.
واجا شلومو ليكر يوم الهدم وورجيهم القرار ورفضوا ما سمعوش.
And Shlomo Liker came to the area and he showed the civil administration that he have a paper to stop the demolition, but they like kick him out and they demolish and they don't hear him.
فهم هسه مع ترامب فوق المحكمة والقانون تبعهم.
And he said now with the Trump, the civil administration and the settlers, they are up than the law. Like you see them superior than anyone, even Israeli law. I can explain what Angela said. In Israeli law, in Area C, the Israelis must choose the Jordanian law, which is still active here. Okay? So when they give you the first order they gave us here, it's to stop building, but actually no one building. When they give you this order, you have how many days to go to the civil administration and to give them the papers or permission that you are working to make a plan to this area, that you will get a permission, this and that. If you don't give them this paper, and what will happen tomorrow, because they refuse to give us like any kind of permission, the civil administration, they will give you like demolition order. They will change the building order to demolition order. In Jordanian law, you have 7 days to go and to demolish your home. Okay? The Jordanian law said you have 7 days to go and to demolition. But what will happen, what we are afraid tomorrow, that they will give us like the demolition order and they will come to demolish. And then we cannot file a bill.
So that's what we're asking our activists to respond to. I see Angela, go ahead for a quick moment. And we can't hear you, Angela, for some reason.
I muted, sorry. Hussam, this is actually something else that Shlomo was talking about, that he just did some research, and if they do change those stop work orders to demolition orders, in theory, they have to give 7 days notice before they're going to come to demolish. But you know, and I know, that in the past, sometimes they say to somebody, you can't fax the order, the injunction, you've got to bring it, and you can't get through because there are so many police. And by the time you get there, they've started.
Let's talk about that set of moments. Thank you very much, Rabbi Yehiel, for bringing it to your attention.
Yeah, like
we can do some things. So I want to mention to the community that's on the line with us, and we'll be putting this out to everyone who's written to Congress. What can we do from afar? Well, if you there in the village can run Facebook Live, that's a good thing, we can watch. But at the moment that you see bulldozers coming, we have an ability to call our consulate, we can call our embassy. There's an American hotline that gets us through when you can't get through. And there's also an international line to the Israeli army that they do respond to. So those are small things that we might be able to do in that time frame.
سووها منطقة عسكرية ولما أخذوا الطاقات الشمسية سووها منطقة عسكرية ومنعوا كل مدير الوكالة منعوه لا يجوا.
Okay. Abu Khamis said like tomorrow if they like want to demolish, they make this area its military area zone. No one can enter and they will not hear anyone, as happened in Al Hiran in the Negev, as happened here before in another communities in Sawahra al-Sharqiyya. They just make the area military zone area and they don't give anyone to enter.
So they can live stream.
What?
They can still live stream.
They might turn off the internet. You know, they might.
I don't think so, because it's next to a settlement, so it has good connection.
No. Like they can.
People's phones.
We can do our calls anyway. You know, we should do our calls anyway. The risks are really high. We have to give people some notice, so we should start.
أعطيها مثال يحيى هذا موجود وهي موجودة منعوهم وطلعوهم طردوهم برا. هم الاثنين هذول.
Like he says, like and Yehiel saw and Angela saw when they come to take the solar barrel, they took everything and they kick you outside from the community here. They don't hear to anyone.
Yeah. But I was tweeting.
Okay, so keep doing those things tomorrow. I want to open up for questions from the audience. Are there any questions?
Mm-hmm. And like when they coming to demolish, for example, on Friday, they coming at 5 at morning, you know, and when they come 5 at morning, like no one can come here. They just make the area military zone area and no one can enter. There's no NGOs, there is no councils, there is no ministers, no one. They just close all the area and they just enter. And it's our like risk here. Because of that, I am sleeping here today night. Because I am afraid that tomorrow will give Licker, the lawyer, the papers that we're going to demolish the area and no one can enter. So I'm going to sleep here with some journalists and activists to warn them or to try to tell the people outside what's happening here, what will happen here.
Exactly. It's really important. Jim, I see you have some thoughts about reaching out to Jewish Voice for Peace. Could you make could you come live and say that, please?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that this sort of call and emergency response request is the sort of thing that Jewish Voice for Peace members are pretty good at responding to. And nationally, we've got a very large list. So, you know, if notices get sent to me or us and then we forward it, I would think we would generate some of those calls.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put that together for you and let people know both how to call in the evening when it's light, you know, over there, but how to call now to their members of Congress too. Because these calls now actually have a ripple effect that can be very useful.
And I think people are really unsure about, I mean, I think people were surprised that under, you know, Obama's administration or other times that these calls, these emergency actions had any effect at all. It's surprising given how the United States government supports Israel almost without question.
Well, like Eid Abu Khamis said, you know, Senator Feinstein's intervention, members of Congress were open about their intervention for Susia, and then they made private calls and then they wrote private letters too. So it's
just so surprising. My point is that people are going to be skeptical, but we need to try and find out what response. It is interesting that as insipid as the United States government is in concerns for Palestinians, that there is any impact. So it's really important that we continue and try with the new administration.
I think that the impact is from this position that when Congress, as it declares itself best friends of Israel, and they say it every day and over again, it's friends that have the best access. You know, Congress has the ability to get a call back. They have the ability to reach out to the Israeli embassy or even the consulate, and they will always get a call back. So it's their leverage, like Mothers for Drunk Driving, friends don't let friends drive drunk. That's what we're pushing for. As someone who cares about Israel, and as we care about human rights of everyone, they need to take action for us as constituents. Go ahead.
On the other point, the question about them shutting off their message machine or whatever, I mean, I think that on the receiving end, if they start getting a lot of calls questioning what's going on, they may just close the voicemail receiving, they can just turn it off if they want to, because they don't want to even.
Sure, but keep
But it's worth doing.
you
It's
can
worth doing.
in the field. Everybody who's there, who's going to the village, you're tweeting. Let us know what we're following. If you're going to be tweeting, make sure you get it to us, and we can ask the consulate to watch you. We can ask the embassy to pay attention. If they can't be there with you tomorrow, at least they can be watching what you're putting forward. And we'll do our best to relay also, because that's a role that we can take in all of this. Other questions? Go ahead, Angela. You're on mute again. Go for it.
I don't know if it's persuasive at all, Donna, but one of the things I was saying in Brussels is anybody who is a friend of Israel should warn Israel that the Bedouin situation is already, as I said earlier, on the radar of the International Criminal Court. These are war crimes from the top level officers right down to the, grunts. And therefore, anybody who is a friend of Israel should not allow Israel to be going down this path. Even when they passed this regularization law, one of the members of the opposition said, the train is leaving the station and the first stop is The Hague. So it's crazy what's going on, and there should be friendly pressure if we can't get enough of the other type.
And I'll reinforce a different aspect of this, that in this time, before damage is done, it's really important to try to give people the opportunity to do the right thing. We're trying to find allies in the army, in the decision, among the decision makers. Our efforts can strengthen those voices. So it's a positive side to it, and a preventative side to it. We're trying to prevent this disaster, and certainly make sure the village can stay on the land and live there and continue the school and hopefully flourish, have your master plan approved, all of the things that allow you to control your community, which is, it is a human right. Any closing questions? Other people on the call, would you like to add to this at all? You're more than welcome. We can go to closing statements also. So I think we'll do closing statements perhaps. Maybe Rabbi Yehiel go first on closing statement, and then we'll go to Angela, then we'll go to Eid as our closing, the last word here.
I just think you shouldn't be so pessimistic about the importance of pressure on congressmen, senators in the states. I still think that the Israeli government will respond if there's enough pressure. And apart from that, we'll be there and do what we can in the field.
I'm glad you're saying that. I think that the pessimism prevents people from calling sometimes. So we've been impressed, and Rebuilding Alliance, our view has been members of Congress, Republican or Democrat, they make those calls and they make them privately. They actually respond back to the constituents to inform you that they've made the calls. So it becomes an effective feedback loop. And if you don't try, they don't make the call. So it's very important to try. So thank you very much for emphasizing that. This is the time to try and to connect with them.
I will just say two things. I follow on what Yehiel said. I remember once at a conference about East Jerusalem, the Minister for the Interior, Pinus Paz, he said, give me a hard time. I need it in order to be able to balance what I'm getting from the other side. So that for me was a big lesson, not to be too polite, not to be too English, not to be too moderate, but actually to give them a hard time, knowing that it's in their best interest and that's what we're paying their salaries for. The other thing I just wanted to say is I don't know when, but we are in the last phase of launching High Hopes with a campaign that will be about this school, but also about displacement in a broader way as well, because this isn't the only place, obviously. There are 46 communities plus many others in Area C. So I've put there on the notes the link to the trailer and our website where the film will be. And I was telling Jim that Joe Berman of Jewish Voice for Peace will be putting it on the main Jewish Voice for Peace Facebook page. So if anybody else can get it onto your chapter or others, this will be great. Anything that can be, you know, feeding in more energy, all the better.
We look forward to that. When High Hopes comes out, we will all do our best to bring it forward every which way we can.
Yes.
I believe a 14-minute film, is it?
Yes. It's won 13 awards so far, and the director editor using archive footage was Guy Davidi, who made 5 Broken Cameras.
Excellent. No, it's an amazing undertaking. Very exciting that you've done that, and very important, because even if the village is safe tomorrow, the next hurdle is only 7 days away. It's very close. You know, we don't have any guarantees. The petition goes to the court. The court gives you another breathing room, and it's not that long. If they get through that next one, you've got a little bit more breathing room, if I understand correctly. But we're not out of the gate yet. And being able to show your film will help a lot. You know, it'll help raise awareness, and more people will call Congress. The Congress will pay attention to.
I'm not sure yet of what the final messaging is, but it's certainly aimed at the American public and Trump and all of that. Yeah.
The sooner the better. Just get it moving.
Sure.
Thank you.
I wish.
Yeah, of course. I know you're doing your best on all of it. Great. I want to turn to Mr. Eid Abu Khamis. Please go ahead and give us your final statements, if you will.
Just a minute. Yeah, I just have a question. High Hopes, like, I see like the trailer, it's before 2 years. It's not finished before 2 years.
Yeah, we made it 2 years ago, and then we put it into a lot of film festivals. So it traveled, it's been in about 50 film festivals.
It's in 2006 or in 2000, or before 2 years?
No, I made Nowhere Left to Go in 2011, and Eid is in that. That's on our website. High Hopes is not on the website yet, but it's been in about 50 film festivals.
But when you begin in, like, to make it, before how many long time?
2015, 2014, 2015. And it's from archive footage. Yeah, we didn't go out filming. We just paid a lot of money for Associated Press and BBC and a little bit of other background stuff.
You're sitting in the dark. Can you put more light on yourself?
Because I saw the trailer before 2 years.
ممكن.
Yeah, it's in the VM that you sent.
So everyone is looking forward to it very much.
Me too. It feels like trying to give birth. One day when we have time, I'll tell you the stories attached.
رسالة لو سمح الله بكرة أجوا هدموا المدرسة التجمع السكاني. المدرسة هاي فيها 170 طالب وطالبة، والتجمع فيه ما يقارب 170 بني آدم. ما هي الاستراتيجية للجميع ليساعدوني في إرجاع المدرسة والسكان؟
Okay, he said, what's the strategy if you have tomorrow coming and demolishing the area here? If you have like a plan B, or what are you going to do with 170 children without a school and 170 people who's living here? If you have a plan B, what are you going to do if they're coming to demolish tomorrow? What are you going to do?
So one thing we should do is make sure everyone has my phone number, because I can be a relay point. I do this for a lot of villages, and what we'll do is call. Now, we have no guarantee to prevent anything, but we can get people's attention and make sure they know what's happening. I think protection cluster, shelter cluster, they're the ones who will come if there's tents afterwards and all those parts. Our part is let's try for prevention.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
بتقول لك انها تبعت رسائل والمؤسسات ونعرف شو هالشيء لسه.
Donna, can you type your phone number in?
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
He said, yeah, it's maybe can help. It maybe can help.
Inshallah. I mean, we'll do our best, and you will too, of course. It's just one.
ذات أدوناي أولاني بريا الشمايم خزيرة جسدني شوشوت. تجد أمين رباي.
Do we have a hashtag that we agree on? I think that Save the Children are doing Save My School.
Say like hashtag, I don't know, like شو الهاشتاج اللي نحطه؟ بنستخدم
Save the Hussam.
على السريع شو الكلمة نستخدمها؟
Save My School is the one that.
أبو خميس he suggests to use the Tires School مدرسة العجال as hashtag.
Tell him that
Save Bedouin School.
Save the Children, the organization, the INGO, their campaign is Save My School.
So we want to use that or
Save My School.
Yeah, let's go with Save My School because they're already involved.
Yeah.
خلينا نقول شيء إن أوقفوا تهجير الجاهلين.
Thank you.
It's not just the school. Save the community.
yeah, save Bedouin everything.
Yeah, but that has to be a separate hashtag because they are, as Save the Children, they are involved in saving the school.
Abu Khamis said, like he said, like to use Tire School. It's the only Tire School in the Middle East, and he suggests to use the Tire School hashtag.
Huh. And are you spelling it English tire or American tire?
Tire, like it's like a wheel of the car.
Yeah. TIRE would be from us. We'll do our
And TYR would be us.
Also, remember when you're doing your tweets, you can direct them to people. So one place to do it is Rebuilding All.
Yeah.
Certainly, JVP Live is another one that's very important. I think like this, yeah. We'll get you more about it. Exactly.
So like the first hashtag that Abu Khamis said, it's stop it's the first Tire School in the Middle East. Like it will be the first hashtag in the hashtag. Like if anyone who can like write it and put it in the Facebook so we can follow it.
Do you want Save Tire School or Tire School?
It's Tire School.
Okay.
Tire School. And Abu Khamis said like to be like the first hashtag to be it's the only Tire School in the Middle East.
And inshallah, there'll be many more. It's a beautiful school. We're so impressed with it. Thank you so much for making that possible.
Okay.
You know, when we had the Jahalin working group in 2005, one of its findings, the main one, was build schools, and the Supreme Court won't order their demolition during the school year. And that we thought then might buy a year, and it's actually lasted amazingly.
That's what worked in Al Aqaba village. So that is the key. We were behind you all the way.
And then the settlers up the hill, they say, oh, that's what we do. It's facts on the ground. They're not interested. It's just a trick, but it's not.
So I'm going to close our conference call now. It's the time for the closing. And I do want Eid Abu Khamis to have the last word. So please thank us and you can say goodbye and we will do our best to stay in touch.
شكرا لهم. وهي واحدة اثنين يضلوا دائما وابدا انه بيذكروا في هاي الاطفال في هالمدرسة ما ينسوا هاي المدرسة وهاي الاطفال.
He said thank you and just remember and remember that there is a children here, there is the woman, there is old people, and there is a school that they need you.
وكل واحد منهم بعتبر هاي القرية هي قريته والمدرسة هي مدرسة أطفاله.
And every one of you must consider that this village, it's his village, and this school, it's his school, and it's his children's school.
Thank you so much. We wish you the best. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Bless you, Donna. You're amazing.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Night, night.
And
Alamana. Alamana.
we can end our taping now. Thank you very much.